I never thought I'd see this day. Standing here, under 1,000 lights, clutching an award that says I made it. And yet, the only face I'm searching for in this crowd is hers. My mom. The woman who once told me I'd never be good enough, never smart enough, never successful enough to deserve this kind of moment. The microphone feels heavier than it should. My heart races. My palms are shaking, but my smile doesn't falter. Because tonight, I'm not just accepting this award, I'm reclaiming every piece of me she tried to break. I clear my throat, take a deep breath, and say her name into the microphone. Mom, this one's for you. What would you do if the person who doubted you most, the one who told you you'd never make it, was sitting right in front of you when you finally proved them wrong? Tell me in the comments. Growing up in Millfield, Ohio, success wasn't something people talked about. It was something you had to earn in silence. My mom, Darlene Hayes, believed in hard work, but she never believed in me. When I was little, I'd bring home drawings, science projects, even small trophies from school. I remember running up to her, beaming with pride. She'd barely look up from her coffee and say, "Don't get ahead of yourself, Savannah. You're not special, just average." At 12, I wrote a story that won first place in a county writing contest. I thought she'd finally be proud. Instead, she said, "Writing doesn't pay bills. You'll understand when you grow up." Every word from her chipped away at my confidence. Every sigh, every eye roll, made me feel smaller. I started believing her, that maybe I really wasn't meant for anything great. But life has a funny way of turning cruelty into motivation. The day she called me a failure waiting to happen after I didn't get into her dream college, something inside me snapped. That night, I promised myself one thing. I would build a life so bright, so undeniable, that even she couldn't look away. And maybe, just maybe, she'd finally see me, not as her disappointment, but as the daughter who proved her wrong. The older I got, the colder our house felt. Conversations with Mom turned into lectures, and silence became our most common language. When I graduated high school, she didn't come to the ceremony. She said she was too busy picking up an extra shift. But deep down, I knew she just didn't care. I got into a small state college on a partial scholarship. It wasn't Harvard, so to her it didn't count. Every phone call turned into a critique session. Still writing those silly stories? You think anyone's going to pay for your words? I started working 2 jobs, one at a bookstore, one waiting tables, just to survive. My professor saw potential in me, but at home, my words meant nothing. There was one night I'll never forget. It was raining hard. I had just finished a short story that got published in a local magazine. I called her, voice shaking with excitement. "Mom, I made it into print." There was a long pause. Then she said, "Savannah, don't get your hopes up. One magazine doesn't make you successful." And she hung up. That was the night I cried until sunrise. Not because of her words, but because I finally understood something. I wasn't chasing her approval anymore. I was chasing her silence. I wanted to fill it with proof that I mattered. So I started saying yes to everything. Writing internships, freelance gigs, late-night editing sessions. I pushed myself past exhaustion. Every rejection fueled me. Every small win felt like a secret victory against her disbelief. I stopped calling her. She stopped asking. And somewhere in that distance, I found something stronger than her doubt, my own voice. It wasn't loud at first, but it grew. And one day, it would echo loud enough for her and the world to finally hear. Years passed, and my hard work started to pay off. My short stories were being published in national magazines. I landed a full-time position at a publishing house in Chicago, my dream city. But even then, Mom didn't call. Not once. When she did, it was only because she needed something, money, advice, or to remind me that success doesn't last forever. Then one morning, while sipping my coffee at my tiny apartment, I opened an email that made my hands shake. I had been nominated for the Emerging Voices Award, one of the biggest recognitions for young authors in the country. I stared at the screen for a long time and then smiled, because I already knew exactly who I was going to dedicate it to. For weeks, I practiced my speech in secret, Every word measured, every pause intentional. Not out of spite, but out of purpose. This wasn't just about an award. It was about rewriting the story she wrote for me, the one where I was supposed to fail. And this time, I'd be the author of my own ending. The night of the ceremony felt surreal. The air buzzed with perfume, camera flashes, and whispered nerves. Everyone around me wore confidence, like perfume, but mine was stitched together from every scar my mother left behind. When my name was called, Savannah Hayes, recipient of the Emerging Voices Award, my knees almost gave out. The applause felt like thunder, but all I could hear was the echo of my mother's old words. You'll never be successful. I walked up the stage, heels clicking against the marble floor, palms sweating around the golden plaque. The spotlight was blinding, but for the first time I didn't look away. I began with gratitude. To my editors, my mentors, my team. My voice was steady. Then I paused and let my eyes scan the crowd. There she was, Mom, Darlene, sitting near the back, arms folded, her expression unreadable. I smiled. And lastly, I said, my voice tightening just enough to draw every ear in the room, I want to thank someone very special. My mother, Darlene Hayes. The woman who told me I'd never be successful, who taught me the power of proving people wrong. The room went silent. Even the cameras hesitated. I continued, tears glinting in my eyes. Mom, you showed me what doubt feels like, and because of that, I learned what determination means. This award, your name, will forever be linked to the moment I became everything you said I couldn't be. Applause erupted. Cameras flashed. Mom's face, pale, tight, trembling, said everything words never could. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel broken. I felt free. I walked off that stage knowing the story had finally changed, and this time, I was the one writing the ending. After the ceremony, I slipped outside into the cool night air. The city lights shimmered like 1,000 tiny mirrors reflecting the person I'd become. I stood there, holding the award against my chest, and I realized something. The revenge I dreamed of for years didn't taste bitter at all. It was peaceful. I had spent so much time wanting to prove my mother wrong that I never noticed how much of my life had been driven by her words. But now, I wasn't chasing anger anymore. I was standing in the glow of my own worth. A reporter asked me backstage, "What inspired your success?" I smiled and said, "Someone once told me I'd never be successful." I wanted to see if she was right. They laughed, not realizing that every syllable was carved from a lifetime of hurt. Mom didn't approach me that night. She left before I came off stage. But that was okay. I didn't need her validation anymore. Because the truth is, success isn't about who believes in you. It's about believing in yourself when no one else will. And maybe, just maybe, the real revenge isn't proving them wrong, it's realizing you never needed to. That night, I stopped needing her approval and started loving the woman I became because of it. The weeks after the ceremony were a blur. Interviews, articles, podcast invitations. People wanted to know my story, but I only shared pieces. The truth was too personal, too raw to turn into headlines. Back home in Chicago, life finally felt still. My apartment, once filled with uncertainty, now carried a quiet pride. The award sat on my bookshelf, right next to a framed photo of me as a little girl, the one Mom once said looked too dreamy to be realistic. I didn't hate her anymore. I didn't even resent her. I just understood. Some people tear you down because they were torn down first. Darlene Hayes had spent her whole life afraid of failure, and she'd passed that fear on to me. But I broke the chain. I started mentoring young writers who were told their dreams were too big. I told them that too big was exactly the right size for a dream worth chasing. Mom sent me a card a few weeks later. Just 4 words, handwritten and shaky. I saw the speech. No apology. No warmth. But somehow that was enough. Because now I didn't need her to say she was proud. I was proud of myself. As I closed the card and placed it beside my award, I whispered, "Thanks, Mom. For everything. Even the doubt." Maybe success isn't about applause or awards. Maybe it's about peace. The kind that comes when you finally stop running from your past and start running toward your future. You know, sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't about proving someone wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's standing in the same place where you were once broken and realizing you've built something stronger from every crack they left behind. I don't hate my mom anymore. I thank her because her disbelief became the fuel that lit my fire. So if someone out there is telling you that you'll never make it, smile. Then go build the life that makes them eat their words. Because success isn't about their approval. It's about your becoming. What about you? Has anyone ever doubted you like that? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear your story.